So now we're at Numbers chapter 4. All right, we're at Numbers chapter 4. And it's not too many like, well, if any, not really precepting or going all over the place with this on my end. If somebody has things, please bring it out. So it might be a lot of reading, and there's going to be chapters like that we kind of go through. It's still important we go through. However, after the lesson, we'll touch on something after the chapter. I say after the chapter. All right. So even we go through this, might be done fairly quickly. Then we're gonna break some stuff. All right. And those that's watching on YouTube, I'm gonna cut y'all off after the chapter. The questions and other stuff like that, you need to be on here to get those things. All right. So firstly, kind of encourage you to get on the Zoom because sometimes you will miss out on certain things. All right, Brother Kai, let's get started. Let's do three at a time, but I'm gonna start having you do like 4 or 5. It's a long chapter, but like I said, we're kind of reading it through. All right, so let's start off with three verses. All right, you might have stepped away, so let's give it a second too. All right.
Oh, Salak, I was reading and was on. My bad.
You're fine.
And Yahweh spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, Take the sum of the sons of Kohath from among the sons of Levi, after their families, by the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward, even unto 50 years old, all that enter into the host to do the work in the tabernacle of the congregation.
All right. So, we go through these, some doctrines or things I hear, I like to always, share as well. So we talked about this before, right? Kohath, all right? One of the sons of Levi. Remember, there was three sons that was broken up, okay? It's going to go into details of what they do. We kind of, they allude to a little bit last week, but it's going to go into more detail this week. And that's all what this chapter is dealing with, okay? So from 30 years old and upward, even until 50 years old, okay? Because this is dealing, make sure I always say the context, this is dealing with them working, all right, in tabernacle congregation. Remember, before they were doing the census, that's when you get everybody in Israel 20 years older. This is dealing with that family now from 30 to 50, because that seemed like that's the age of what? Doing this. Enter into the host to do the work in the tabernacle congregation. Okay. Why that age? Probably because what? You're gonna have to do some lifting and stuff involved. He's making sure you ain't too young. You only be real young and naive and not doing things correctly. So you probably have that 30 where you hitting that maturity, that prime, and then to 50. After that, it's kind of like, all right, you're a little too old to be doing these services. Okay. So this is where you got the years. This is not, because some people saying, oh, you should only, do the work of the Lord from 30 to 50 and things of that nature. It's not saying that. This is the work for the tabernacle. Okay. Remember, we talk about what Paul talks about, with the old covenant and things, and he's talking about the priesthood, right? And he's saying these things and laws connected to the priesthood. This was something connected to the priesthood, all right? That 30, 50-year-old and this family. Okay, do not apply certain principles and laws to everything. There was prophets and stuff prophesying after 50. Okay, not saying the Lord can't use you after 50. This is talking about for this service. Okay. All right. If you got something, make sure you just get off of mute. If you got questions or anything, get off of mute. You can ask it or put it in the chat. Right. Other than that, we're going to assume that everybody's good and we're going to keep going. All right. So this is Kohath. All right. This is Kohath. So we got 3 brothers. All right, Brother Kai. Let's keep going.
This shall be the service of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of the congregation about the most holy things. And when it camp satteth forward, Aaron shall come and his sons, and they shall take down the covering veil and the ark of the testimony with it. And he shall put thereon the covering of badger skin, and shall spread over it a cloth wholly of blue, and shall put it in the staves thereof.
So when the camp set it forward, remember, they are moving during this time. Those that have been with us. This is, we're dealing with the Exodus, right? We're going out through the land, right? And we're going to, well, even though we took a long detour, right? We're going to what called the promised land of Jerusalem, okay? So their temple is not something fortified yet because we're moving, okay? At this time in the wilderness, they're what? Packing it up, setting it up. They're packing it up. We got to move to the next location. Then he set it up. Okay. So it's something that's temporal that you put down, put up, put down, put up until we get into our land. And then, we build the actual physical structure. Okay. So as they're moving, he has laws and things in place on how they should go about it. This is all he's bringing out basically this chapter. So this family, all right, and shall come and his sons, and they shall take down the covering veil. All right. And the cover of the Ark of the Testimony with it. So Aaron's sons are packing these things up. And they're going to do what? They're going to cover it with badger skin and shall spread over it a cloth wholly of blue. All right. So once again, we see certain colors as well, right? That border, right? We talk about the border blue with fringes, things of that nature, but they're covering it with blue. All right. And put the staves there. So they have to cover these things. Why do you think he has them covering it, beloved, as they move? Why do you think he has them covering these things?
So they want nobody can look upon them.
Look upon it. All right. I also protecting it. You have something else just with that?
Oh, I just said protection right along with you. All praise to the most.
Praise, yes. So yes, blocking it, making sure nobody touching it. And also, what is this? These instruments, what are they being referred to as? The answer is somewhat in first 4 verses. Y'all can't get your answer for it.
Holy.
All right. Give me more. Yes, it's holy, but give me more. They ain't just holy, they what?
Most holy.
Most holy things, right? Yeah. So you want to make sure you show reverence to things when it's definitely being considered, even like I said, holy, right? You want to put consideration. You don't want to treat it like anything. Okay. It's like if you were packing everything, what we do, we practice them things that's real precious to us. We make sure that thing is secure, all those kind of things. So this is the same kind of mentality you want us to think about when we are dealing with him. All right, I'm him talking about the Father. When we're dealing with the things of the church, don't mix, just anything with it, right? When you present yourself before God and everything, you want to come a certain way. All right. We don't want to give him anything. And also, we want to make sure we are taking care of his stuff. Right. So all these things need to keep in mind, right? Of why he's doing it. Remember, our God is very practical and logical. All these laws are just practicality and logic. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. And where you leave off at, I'm sorry.
I'm on verse 7.
All right. Let's keep going.
And upon a table of shewbread, they shall spread a cloth of blue, and put thereon the dishes, and the spoons, and the bowls, and covers to cover withal. And the continual bread shall be thereon. And they shall spread upon them a cloth of scarlet, and cover the same with a covering of badger's skin, and shall put in the staves thereof. And they shall take a cloth of blue, and cover the candlestick of the light, and his lamps, and his tongs, and his snuff dishes, and all the oil vessels thereof, wherewith they minister unto it.
So we got the shewbread, right? Remember, they make the shewbread definitely in the Sabbath, right? And that will be like holy bread almost. All right. What was the one? Candlestick. You read that. Where did we read it at? Okay, they covered candlestick verse 9. So with the candlestick and the lamps, what can they represent? What are some connections with candlesticks, lamps, light? Is there any reference in the Bible about those kind of things? What do they represent? I just have them in the scripture. Remember, he set these things up and he's supposed to be a replica. Remember, we read New Testament. the sanctuary, all these things he's setting up, these are replicas of the true heavenly temple. All right. So what is he showing us in this earthly temple? Why he has, these a candlestick and lamp? What is that for? So we have is that Proverbs 6? So the lamp, the light is like the commandments and things of that nature, right? When we think of a light, it's talking about guidance so you can see and things of that nature. Also, right, keep the light on, usually saying that what? It's open. All right. Also could be a reference that the Most High is always available to us. All right. It ain't a 9 to 5 with the Most High. Okay. Some people make reference to him as dealing with some people try to use angel references. Some people try to use Israel being light. It's a lot of different breakdowns, all right? But it does have its symbolic things as well. Now I'm not going to dive into the other ones. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
And upon the golden altar they shall spread a cloth of blue, and cover it with a covering of badger skin, and shall put the staves thereof. And they shall take all the instruments of ministry, wherewith they minister in the sanctuary, and put them in a cloth of blue, and cover them with a covering of badger skin, and shall put them on a bar. And they shall take away the ashes from the altar, and spread a purple cloth thereon. And they shall put upon it all the vessels thereof wherewith they minister about it, even the censers, the flesh hooks, and the shovels, and the basins, and all the vessels of the altar. And they shall spread it upon it a covering of badger skin, and put to the staves of it.
All right. So once again, they just go into more detail with it. These are the instruments of ministry. Remember, to minister, right? Minister is dealing with serving, right? Minister to serve. They were what? These were instruments to serve what? The people. All right. A lot of these things were dealing with the sacrifice things that nature, right? The offerings. The law was commanding you going to the temple and doing these things. So these instruments, the Most High, that's why he sanctified them, because we are going to be presenting holy sacrifices and offerings to our God. So the instruments need to be what? Holy. Now, the big problem, right, which we messed up with, is a lot of times we were focused on the instruments, but really, who's supposed to be the instruments? Who's supposed to be the true instruments? And what is the true sacrifice? That's my question to y'all. What is the true instruments and what's the true sacrifice? I know the truth. So we're dealing with the instruments, right? Who's supposed to be serving the people? Right? We're dealing with the world. Who's supposed to be dealing with the world? That will be what? The priests, right? And we are supposed to be clean, right? When we're dealing with God's services. Okay. Some of our forefathers weren't clean, all right. Even though they might have been priests, they weren't all of them weren't clean, right? Because that's dealing with
You in your flesh.
right. Okay. So we are supposed to be that. Now you're dealing with the sacrifices. The Most High has switched it, right? It's no longer throwing the animals on the altar. We are supposed to be offered as a living sacrifice according to Romans 12. Okay. So sacrifice didn't stop, right? It stopped in the way of he substituted. Stop killing animals. It's about what? Because that animals was just supposed to teach us something. All right, it's supposed to teach you how the sacrifice, how particular need to be. But the focus point on us, we got to clean ourselves. We got to be without blemish because we're going to have to offer up ourselves before God. Okay, that's the point of Christ. He cleansed us that now we can come before the throne. And the scripture says boldly. How are you going to come boldly before the throne? You got to have those blemishes purged. Okay, you got to be doing what's right. That's what these things is about. So Paul is not wrong when he's saying the law of the schoolmaster. All right, but people take it as, oh, they just focus on the last part. Christ is the end of the law. Yes, he's saying the law is teaching you. It's leading you to Christ. If you can understand the law, it's pushing you and teach you about Christ. And then once you get to Christ, there's nothing after Christ, right? There's no further education after that. Christ is the end point. But you don't remove the law, right? You remove the law, you're removing Christ too. All right. The law and Christ work hand in hand. So you can get a full, complete picture. Okay. Now I want you to understand that you get a complete picture. If you just read the New Testament and don't have the Old, you're not getting a complete picture. You read the Old Testament, don't got the New, you're not getting a complete picture. You need both. They harmonize, they work together. Okay? You'll hear people say, oh, the law and the spirit, and they have it like it's a war. No, they coincide with one another. They don't fight. They coincide with one another. Christ was not lawless. He was what? Right? Righteous, holy. It says he was without sin. So that means he was going according to law. And also, what was he walking in? The Spirit. So if our perfect example is not being lawless and he's perfectly walking in the Spirit, that means what? We should be having that same doctrine, that same thought. But teachers have trashed and messed it all up and have it like a big war between the two. Okay, that's not how it's supposed to be. All right, let's go back to here because we got a little side lesson after this. All right, what verse are we at, Brother Kai?
Verse 15.
Okay, and remember when you go to Paul, we're not gonna do it today. When you go to Paul in Hebrews, he names some of these things, the shewbread and all that stuff. This is what he's talking about. This is part of that old covenant that we were subject under. The what? The temple. It's talking about the temple stuff. Not dealing with all, this is dealing strictly with what? The priesthood and the temple. Okay? So you have to understand when Paul's saying certain things, he's the master of the law. And if you don't have no idea of the law, it can get you can mix a lot of things up. All right? So you want to make sure you're well-rounded. All right, let's keep going, brother.
And when Aaron and his sons had made an end of covering the sanctuary and all the vessels of the sanctuary, as the camp is to set forward, after that the sons of Kohath shall come to bear it. And they shall not touch any holy thing, lest they die. These things are the burden of the sons of Kohath in the tabernacle of the congregation. And to the office of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, pertaineth the oil for the light, and the sweet incense, and the daily meat offering, and the anointing oil, and the oversight of all the tabernacle, and of all that therein is, and the sanctuary, and in the vessels thereof.
All right. So once again, like I said, they're going to be going through everything. If you have time and everything, you can look at it and see which one goes to which of the brothers. All right. So there's three. We talked about them last week. All right. So this is Kohath. Okay. One of the brothers, Kohath. He's dealing with these things. However, Kohath and that family is not touching it. Right? Because what did it say? In verse 15, the sons of Kohath shall come to bear it. All right, they're going to be holding these instruments as we got to move the temple while we go through the wilderness. But listen, but they shall not touch any holy thing. So another reason they're wrapping it in these things is because also they can't bear it. Even though they're Levi, all right, not the priest, they're in this family, they're able to transport it as long as something is wrapping it. So that they are still not what? Qualified per se by the law to touch those holy instruments. All right. So when they just don't all Levi, no, it's not all of Levi. All right. And there's still laws concerning what they can do. All right. Certain ones can do. All right. So this is Kohath. All right. And these are the things that he's going to be his family and everything instructed to do. Okay. All right. Let's go to. Oh, I want to. You stopped at 16, correct, Brother Kai?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to grab something while we're here. To the office, Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, pertaineth the oil for the light, the sweet incense, and the what? Daily meat offerings. Okay, it's another thing. When we're talking about sacrifices, just a little FYI, a lot of people have no idea usually they're talking about it. It's usually something regurgitated from their teacher. Never really read it. Sacrifices were done every day because people like to think that it was just, certain times or just the feast days it happened. No, these were what? Daily meat offerings. They were doing sacrifices every day. All right. And just a little spoiler, on the Sabbath, they did offerings. Okay. So somebody's trying to use that in a certain way. They were doing offerings every day. Okay, we don't need to do it no more, but I'm just giving you a little FYI just in case you don't want nobody getting caught up and thinking it's just on the feast day or just this day they did it. They was doing offerings every day. Okay, that was part of law. All right, let's keep going, Brother Kai. Let's keep going. Anybody have any questions? We're not going too fast, but we get redundant. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
And Yahweh spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, Cut ye not off the tribe of the families of the Kohathites from among the Levites, but thus do unto them, that they may live and not die. When they approach unto the most holy things, Aaron and his son shall go in, and appoint them every one to his service and to his burden. But they shall not go in to see when the holy things are covered, lest they die.
All right. So it's like, let them be accompanied by Aaron and them, because he knows how this flesh works, beloved. We want to see what we can't, right? We want to touch what we're not supposed to touch. We want to see what we're not allowed to see. This is how this flesh works. And this is what the law try to spell out for us. Because he knows our work and he knows how we think, beloved. You tell Israel what he can, and that's the one thing he wants to desire more than anything. You can't eat this. That's I just want to have that, right? I want you to this be your Sabbath day and everything. That's the day everybody want to work the most, right? It don't matter what it is. We want to do the opposite of thus saith the Lord. All right. This is why these laws are a manifestation, right? It gets to show us where we at. How much do we resist these things? Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Verse 21, And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Take also the sum of the sons of Gershon throughout the houses of their fathers by their families, from 30 years old and upward until 50 years old shalt thou number them. All that enter in to perform the service, to do the work in the tabernacle of the congregation. This is the service of the families of the Gershonites, to serve and for burdens. And they shall bear the curtains of the tabernacle, and the tabernacle of the congregation, his covering, and the covering of the badger skin that is above upon it, and the hanging for the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the hangings of the court, and the hanging for the door of the gate of the court, which is by the tabernacle, and by the altar round about, and their cords, and all the instruments of their service, and all that is made for them, so shall they serve.
Right. So we had the first one was the Kohath, that lineage, or the Kohathites, as they, the sons of it. And then now you got Gershon, or the Gershonites. All right. And now it's given the service is still the same, 30 to 50 years old, number them. And now it's telling you what they have to do. What is their instruction, right? Their job requirements. Okay. So they have different aspects in the temple that they're going to be dealing with. Okay. So I said it's the same thing. They're just breaking down all three brothers and what their lineage have to do pertaining to the, the ministry. All right. All right. So let's keep going, Brother Kai.
At the appointment of Aaron and his sons shall be all the service of the sons of the Gershonites, and all their burdens, and in all their service. And you shall appoint unto them in charge all their burdens. This is the service of the families of the sons of Gershon, and the tabernacle of the congregation. And their charge shall be under the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. As for the sons of Merari, thou shalt number them after their families by the house of their fathers from
Hold on,
30
hold
years.
on. So now we're in the third son, real quick. Now we're into the third son, all right? So we got Kohath, Gershon, and Ithamar's son Aaron, so he's going to be serving him, right? And then you got the sons of Merari, okay? So now we're done with the third family. I'm sorry, keep going, Nance.
Verse 30, from 30 years old and upward, even unto 50 years old, shalt thou number them, everyone that entereth into the service to do the work of the tabernacle of the congregation. And this is the charge of their burden, according to all their service in the tabernacle of the congregation, the boards of the tabernacle, and the bars thereof, and the pillars thereof, and the sockets thereof, and the pillars of the court round about, and their sockets, and their pins, and their cords, with all their instruments, and with all their service. And by name ye shall reckon the instruments of the charge of their burden.
So same thing. Now he's giving them their description of what they're dealing with. And remember, when they're traveling, and the burden, when you do the burden, is like throwing the weight on that you're doing. Okay, not that to be a terrible thing,
Right.
But you're your assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Get all crazy with that as well. All right. Oh, it's a burden, a certain
Right.
Dealing with their service, what they had to do. All right. Anybody got anything? If you have question or anything, please let us know. Like I said, I'm just running through it because we got something I want to do after class. All right. All right. Brother Kai, give us the verse we at now, and let's get this going.
Verse 33. This is the service of the families of the sons of Merari, according to all their service in the tabernacle of the congregation, under the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. And Moses and Aaron and the chief of the congregation numbered the sons of Kohathites after their families and after the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward, even unto 50 years old, everyone that entereth into the service, for the work in the tabernacle of the congregation.
Same thing. Let's keep going.
All those that were numbered of them by their families were 2,750. These were they that were numbered of the family of the Kohathites, all that might do the service in the tabernacle of the congregation, which Moses and Aaron did number according to the commandment of Yahweh by the hand of Moses.
So that's a lot of people, beloved. But remember, it's a big congregation. All right. So you're doing a lot, but he got the numbers to back it up. He ain't overburden him. He got the numbers because he's dealing with a lot of people. Okay. So even with the move and all that stuff, has enough. So that's the census he had for those that's working in that office. All right, let's keep going. I told Brother Kai he gonna need some water because it's a lot of reading. Brother Michael ain't jumping all over the Bible with every other verse, so he got some reading. So I apologize.
No, you good, man. You ain't got to apologize. Verse 38. All those that were numbered of the sons of Gershon throughout their families and by the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward, even unto 50 years old, everyone that entereth into the service for the work in the tabernacle of the congregation, even those that were numbered of them throughout their families by the house of their fathers, were 2,630. These are they that were numbered of the families of the sons of Gershon, of all that might do the service in the tabernacle of the congregation, whom Moses and Aaron did number according to the commandment of Yahweh.
So once again, this is the one that's possibly able. Remember, you have to be in that 30, 50 range. So this is not everybody that's going to do it, but these are the possibilities. All right, it's open to them. All right, and this was a a flesh lock thing. So when Paul's talking about of the flesh, beloved, all right, and he's saying it's a that carnal commandment. Matter of fact, where is that? I don't want to assume.
Is it Hebrews 7?
Hebrews 7, I think it's 7:14 if memory serves me correct, but I could be wrong. And I'm saying this, beloved, because listen, You know, I bring my brother confusion out, and I'm going to be testing y'all on some of this stuff that we talking about. Y'all gonna be over there being distracted, you know, not listening, but brother confusion going to expose it. All right. So when you're looking at it, you know, I understand it. Let me see. Yeah, we actually talked about this last week, but let's do it again. Fresh reminder. All right. Start from verse 12. I'm trying to have this in y'all mind and in y'all spirit so y'all know it. Somebody comes and say this, y'all should know it. All right. Don't let them try to mix you up with this. All right. I'm sorry, go to 11 because you might run it down there. Okay. This is Hebrews chapter 7 and verse 11. So people are like, oh, the law got to be changed. You got to change the whole law. They need to understand what that means. Okay. And if they go here, you should be able to walk them down on what Paul is talking about here. Okay. Not where they want to go, where their imagination wants them to go. What is Paul saying? Okay. All right. Hebrews 7:11.
If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek, and not be called after the order of Aaron?
If therefore, listen, if therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, all right, why is he connecting the Levitical priesthood perfection? Because the Levitical priesthood were the ministers, right? They're the ones that are doing the sacrifice, all these kind of things. He's saying if you could get perfection from that system, he ain't talking about thou shalt not kill, I'm not mother, not father. He's talking about this system. This is how you receive the law. Saying if you could get it just from that, why is there a need that another priesthood should arise? Why do we have to replace what? The priests. He ain't remember law. He's talking about what? The priests, because there's laws dealing with the priests as well. Why? If you can get perfection from the law that was already established with Moses and everything, and that was it, dealing with that, we should have the temple up. And that's how you get that's how you get perfection. There'll be no need to change anything. He's saying, but we know there's another priesthood that's arising. And this priesthood is from what? Melchizedek. This is a spiritual priesthood. Okay? That should be a big clue, beloved. We had Melchizedek, then Levi. Levi was from the beginning. Then Levi, the law brought in what? Levi, Levitical priest. That's what the law brought in. And now it's going back. It's going back to what it was. See, when we look at change, we think always change. Oh, we just discard it. No, it's going back to what it was. The Melchizedekian priesthood is not new. That's the old one. The Levitical priesthood was the new thing. Okay? But the law already told you that the Melchizedekian priesthood is going to rise up. How do you know? Right? That's Psalms 110. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit down on my right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I don't want to do it, but I don't want nobody to touch it. But I want y'all to know what I'm talking about so y'all can walk with me. All right. Because everybody goes to Paul. Everybody goes to Paul, and they just be messed up everything he's saying. Why is Paul saying this? Remember, he's the master of the law. The Lord said, my Lord, sit down on my right hand till I make thy enemies thy footstool. So remember, the Lord, all caps, dealing with what? The Father. That's the Tetragrammaton. All right. We pronounce it as Yahweh. All right. So the Lord, the Father, said unto my Lord, and Christ refers to as this is dealing with Christ. The Lord said unto my Lord. All right. Sit down on my right hand till I make that enemy thy footstool. So we got other reference points. So the Father is saying this to his Son, which is Christ. Now we jump down to 3. I'm sorry, not 3. 4. The Lord, all caps, the Father, have sworn. He swore. He made a promise and will not repent. He will not go back on what he swore. What was the swearing? What was the promise? Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So if you understand this, you already know that the Levitical priesthood was not supposed to be a permanent thing. It was something supposed to be temporary for a season, and then Melchizedekian priesthood had to come back up. That's why Paul, let's go back to Hebrews 7, okay? What further need was there of another priesthood should rise after the order of Melchizedek? He knew exactly what priesthood had to come. Exactly what priesthood? Because it's already prophesied. All right, the Spirit revealing. People think the Spirit, oh, I got the Spirit now, just grabbing all these things that's not there. No, the Spirit's revealing what was written. Right? So he said, why should arise another order another priesthood after the order of Melchizedek and not be called after the order of Aaron? Why does it not continue on the line of Aaron if that's where perfection was going to stay at? That's how you're going to, that priesthood was for perfection, it should stay there. But it wasn't made for that. It was something temporary until we get back to what? The Melchizedekian priesthood, the spiritual priesthood. Okay? Now, verse 12.
For the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law.
You know what they heard right there, Brother Kai? And you helped them out. But you know what they heard? You know what church people heard because they was indoctrinated with this? They heard, see, change of the law.
Yep.
See, you can't do that Sabbath. Nope, that diet. Nope, that you got to change all that. Where do you read that at?
Nowhere.
See, this is why I tell you, don't let somebody go to one verse and they make their doctrine. Tell them what, let's read above it. Let's read below it.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, for the priesthood being changed, why is he starting off with the priesthood being changed? Because that's a big deal, beloved. That was going against the law. You can't just knock out Levi. That was the law. You had to go to Levi for your sacrifice and stuff. There was no other way around it. You had to do that according to the law. Until you get to what? Melchizedekian. Now that can change. But as long as the Levitical priesthood is the dominant one, that's how you did it. So he's saying for the priesthood being changed, so if you're changing the priesthood, beloved, what has to change? By default, the law dealing with the priesthood. You can't replace the priesthood and not change the law talking about the priesthood. He's talking very specific on what he's dealing with. And if he actually went up, he's starting off with, Levi and all that stuff. He's actually dealing with the priesthood the whole time. But people, like I said, don't study, don't divide it correctly. They just jump to a point because they don't want to do a certain law. And they'll just have something in there, so you have to do it. If you don't want to do something, beloved, just do it. But what you don't want to do is add sin to sin by now trying to taint what a minister of God put in place. All right? You don't want to touch those things. So the priesthood being changed, it was necessary or was needful that what? The law had to change. All right? To spell it out more for people, the law had to change regarding priesthood. Okay? Verse 13. Let's read.
For he of whom these things are spoken pertaineth to another tribe, of whom no man gave attendance at the altar.
Literally telling you again.
Yep.
Again. Just like I said, these preachers have sold us out and not studying.
Mm-hmm.
It literally keep telling you. That means you didn't never look at it. Somebody was just telling you. And that path was breaking down that path. And you just walking, y'all just keep regurgitating the same vomit. People eating up the same vomit. This is 3 verses in a row. And I'm being nice. I could have walked you up from the top. Okay? For he of whom these things were spoken pertaining to another tribe. I asked him, what that have to do? What is that talking about? Half of them don't even know this, probably. But it says what? Here's the clue, of which no man gave attendance at the altar. So all he's saying is, he's speaking of a tribe because only one tribe, okay, out of the family, out of our patriarchs, only one tribe was able to minister at the altar according to the what? Law. What tribe could deal with the altar? That's dealing with the Levites, the Levitical priesthood. All right? But they're talking about a change. Now it's not about the Levitical priesthood serving and doing the things at the altar. All right? But let's see. He talked about another priesthood. Okay? Verse 14.
For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood.
Still talking about what? Priesthood. He said it's evident. It ain't no guess. We know We know Christ came out of Judah. If you don't know, that's going to be another lesson. But he said it's evidence of fact that he came out of Judah. And we know Moses or the law didn't make no mention of, well, we're going to have the Levites doing it, and then we're going to have the tribe of Judah. No. That thing is strictly to the Levites. Okay? So he's saying now Moses ain't speaking about no Judah pertaining to this. Okay? Let's keep reading verse 15. We don't accept the way. All right. So
I'm here. I'm
it's
sorry.
evident. All right, yeah. So it's evident. Remember, keep it in your mind. Evident the Lord sprang out of Judah. Why is he referring to this? Because he needs you to know Christ is not from the tribe of Levi. Nobody ever argued that. They all know he's from Judah. That's a very big point, and they want everybody to know it for this reason. He's bringing it out. All right, verse 15.
It is yet far more evident for that after the similitude of Melchizedek, there arises another priest.
So he's saying it was obvious. Everybody in that time, nobody will argue that he wasn't a Levite. They know he was from Judah. But he said it's even more evident that after the similitude, listen, the similitude of Melchizedek, there arises another priest. He said it's very evident. There's another priest happening because what? We already read it. See, Paul, when somebody knows something, they ain't gonna always quote back. They ain't gonna always take their time. They just expect you to know certain stuff, right? He's speaking to those that some, know the law. So certain things he's gonna say. Okay? Some things you just have to kind of know. So we know that what? There's gonna rise another priest because what? It was already promised. And if you know the scriptures, what is written, we know that's the word of God. See, they always telling you, oh, it's just the 10 commandments. That's the word of God. That's the supreme thing. And everything else is like, second fiddle. No, the word of God is the word of God. That's the ultimate authority. So Paul understands, everybody quoting Paul, but you don't believe Paul. Paul understands that God promised this about Melchizedek in that Psalms, all right, 110 and other places. So it's far more evident. Because if you can find something that the Most High said going to come to pass that don't come to pass, then you can doubt the whole system. All right? But we know our God is 100% with everything. Let's read verse 16 and we'll get out of here.
Who is made, not after the law of a carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life.
See? That was a carnal commandment. See, y'all doing carnal commandments. Right? Y'all going back to Sabbath. Y'all going back to eating clean. See, y'all carnal. You see, this is how these preachers read. They dealing with the point they want to make. Oh, the feast, that's a carnal commandment, the feast. The Sabbath, that's a carnal commandment. Eating, that's a carnal commandment. Right? They throw all of it in, they make this goulash. And then when you start asking them other stuff, well, you got to keep it. Now they got to start making rules. Well, no, that one's good to stay. Right? I told you I always mess with them and say the same thing. Oh, I guess we could prostitute our daughter. Because that's not in the 10. That's in there. That's in that carnal commandment. Oh, no. We got to keep that. Right? Man with man, woman with woman. That's part of that carnal. That's all in there. You're going to tear down your whole belief system because you want to uphold one or two things. You gotta challenge what spirit that is. Listen, it is far more evident, right? There arises another priest who is made, not, listen what he's saying, who is made, because this is not a period, beloved. Look at the punctuation. He's still talking about this one that's made after the order of Melchizedek. All right? Who is made? Not after the law of a carnal commandment. He's not made after the law of a carnal commandment, but after the power of the endless life. So the carnal commandment you're dealing with the priesthood, right? You have one die, right? What's the carnality? Carnal could be flesh, right? A fleshly commandment. The priest had to be what? Of the flesh of Levi. It wasn't dealing with the most righteous person or anything like that. Of the flesh of Levi. That's the carnal commandment. And you want to go with the other aspect of carnal. It's all somebody dying, then you get a new one, then you get a new one, then you get a new one, then you get a new one. That don't happen in Melchizedek priesthood, right? Because you got what? Eternity. One was a temporal system, right? Generation to generation. You always switching high priests, right? People dying. But this one, after similitude of Melchizedek, who was made not after the law of the carnal commandment, he ain't made like under that carnal commandment, but after the power of an endless life. His thing, his ordination was of spirit. Okay. And in verse 17, dealing with the priest forever after order of Melchizedek. So they're going to clue once again to bring you back to Psalm 110. All right. So there we go. We took a long journey. Let's go back to Numbers. Okay. I'm only reiterating because we'll come up and we should know it. Right. So nobody should go and say carnal commandment and just use anything and have y'all going off somewhere and think you can throw away the Sabbath and everything else that go with it. All right. That one is not talking about nothing like that. That's dealing with the priesthood because he's trying to prove Christ from that order. Okay. All right, Brother Kai, where do we leave off at?
I believe verse 46.
All right, finish it up so we can get to our next part.
All those that were numbered of the Levites whom Moses and Aaron and the chief of Israel numbered after their families and after the house of their fathers from 30 years old and upward, even unto 50 years old, everyone that came to do the service of the ministry and the service of the burden in the tabernacle of the congregation, even those that were numbered of them were 8,560. According to the commandment of Yahweh, they were numbered by the hand of Moses, everyone according to his service and according to his burden. Thus were they numbered of him as Yahweh commanded Moses.
Okay, so that's Numbers chapter 4. Anybody have any questions or comments before we close out the chapter? All right. Those that are watching through YouTube, everybody that's online to Zoom, y'all stay on. Everybody that's watching through YouTube, all right, we're going to close it out for y'all. If you're hearing it and you're on YouTube and you want to, hear the next part that we're about to deal with, join it. Come on to the Zoom. All right. So other than that, we will say Ayana Haba Thumb, which means we love you all.